Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Door County. I'm Mary Ann O'Dowd, a member of this fellowship and your service leader today. This is a community in which people of many backgrounds can gather in mutual care and respect. We know you come here for different reasons: to find community, to seek spiritual and personal truths, to question, to nurture your heart and soul, to be nurtured, to explore new ideas, or to simply find comfort on a Sunday morning. And for that, we are grateful and thank you. If you are visiting us for the first time or for the first time in a while, please introduce yourself if you're comfortable doing so, and we can extend a special welcome. We'll start to my right. Anybody? I think I've seen all these faces before. Everyone is invited to join us for coffee and conversation in the gathering room following today's service. And after about 15 minutes, we'll come back in this room and do our talkback session with today's speaker, Andy Agaki. Andy has spoken to many UU congregations throughout Wisconsin and Northern Illinois, and we are grateful he's decided to spend his Thanksgiving weekend with us. I know that one thing he's thankful for is renewed sight from his cataract surgery, which I've heard now a couple of times that was a recent event in his life. But you can read more about Andy in your order of service. At this time, please check that your cell phones are turned off. And as a reminder, this service is broadcast online and is saved for future viewing on YouTube. At this time, please take note of the announcements in the back of your order of service. And also, if there are any other brief announcements related to this fellowship, and I don't even feel complete the rest of that statement, everybody knows what to do, apparently.
Yes, I hope that a lot of you will come on Wednesday night. It's our Dickinson Poetry Series. And we have, where is she? Kathleen is going to be reading together with Mike Orlock from Sturgeon Bay. So it'll be a great hour of poetry and sharing. And please come listen and bring a poem that you might like to recite, either your own or someone else's.
Hi, Karen Winzenz here. We need 2 more people to help with decorations or the tree is going to be bare. So please see me after the service if you can do it. It's on the 4th of December. And I hope we'll have enough people.
Anyone else? Okay. Let's now begin our service. At this time, I will light our chalice and read opening words, A True Story by Lee Kinvey. This chalice is for the living, the changing, the becoming. This chalice is for losing the script of your life, the chapters about who you are in other people's stories. This chalice is for the lost GPS that was supposed to show you how to get where they expected you to go. This chalice is for skipping the directions, coloring outside the lines, painting not by number, but by silence, by wild abandon. With a brush you made yourself, from a light deep inside, startling, vivid, a new voice that already knows you, finally a true story. Please join me in singing hymn number 349, followed by our unison affirmation and doxology. We gather together to seek knowledge and wisdom, to explore freely the vast reaches of mind and spirit, to celebrate within a caring community those truths, ancient and modern, which give meaning and direction to our lives. Now is the time in the service when you may briefly share some joys that fill your heart or concerns that weigh heavily. And keep in mind the service is recorded. Anybody wish to share anything? All right, everybody's still stuffed from Thanksgiving. Okay. We will now have this morning's offering, and offerings continue the work of this fellowship and the work we do in the community. Offerings can also be made online at uufdc.org. Let's take a moment to clear our minds and get into a space for receiving today's message.
Our reading for this morning is by Judy Reutman from Lion's Roar magazine, and March 11th, 2021. With or without speech, living creatures on Earth are perceptually screwed. There is at that pioneering 1940 study by Jerome Letvin, What the Frog's Eye Tells the Frog's Brain. You can find a PDF of it online, in which Letvin wired up a frog, poor frog, and discovered that the frog perceives movement, not objects. If a fly could hold really, really still, the frog wouldn't see it. Humans are so superior. We perceive objects even if they aren't moving. Sorry to tell you this, but the reason we perceive objects when they're not moving is because our eyes are moving a little itty bitty bit with little itty bitty movements called saccades. Without them, we can't see. I don't want to go down the neurophysiological rabbit hole here. There's a huge body of literature by people far more qualified than I am, Ms. Reutman continues. But the fact is that we construct our world out of all these electrical impulses and chemical reactions and cellular processes and imperceptible to us movements constrained by perceptual limitations, infrared, ultraviolet, infrasound, ultrasound, not to mention the basic mental categories we fit into: object, action, time, space, life, death. And guess what? The Buddha and his henchwomen were quite aware of all of this, even though they didn't have the cognitive categories of electrical impulses and chemical reactions and cellular processes. Whatever philosophical framework they used, they still knew that however we thought things were, they weren't. They knew that we are always making everything up. So if our perceptions are invented, what about our opinions, our theories, our beliefs? We think we know what's going to happen, yet we almost never do. We think we know why people, including ourselves, do things, but usually we're wrong. We lie awake at night agonizing over our job, our family, someone else's politics, and yet our solutions rarely work. We create these tight little narratives, these worlds inside our heads. That's where we live. Our frontal lobes keep churning away, trying to figure things out, pin things down, like someone shouting into a tunnel and having a conversation with her own echo. Konnichiwa, buenos dias, dzień dobry, good morning. That's about all I know of those languages, but I hope everybody had is well this morning, even despite the snow, and your Thanksgiving was full and joyful. And again, thank you everybody for coming here on this day. I guess it's kind of normal, but it's our first snow that we've experienced. I'm from Milwaukee, or as we used to say, Milwaukee. There's no IL in it. Okay, to begin, from May of 2020 to May of 2023, I bombarded Sarah, your fellowship administrator, okay, and other fellowships, I didn't just pick on her, with what I called monthly musings, my thoughts about living in the time of COVID. Not that COVID time has suddenly disappeared, by the way. These things were musings, thoughts on what was happening, people I met, things I experienced. All were shrouded in a cloak woven with that spiky little COVID virus. Would it get worse? Would I get it? I did twice. Once on Father's Day and once around my birthday last year. It was like a good cold, but I was lucky. Why didn't everyone wear a mask? All the political turmoil over it. I named that time of confusion coyote time, that trickster animal in Native American culture, similar to Western culture's Loki. Still, during that time, we gave out candy on Halloween in our usual way when it wasn't outright banned. Celebrated Thanksgiving and Christmas like we always did if we didn't test positive for COVID. And probably stayed home from a couple of New Year's Eve celebrations. And COVID, wearing that ever-changing COVID cloak, still lurks among us. I don't know what the new variants of COVID have in store for us. Will the bird flu cross over to humans? I don't know. Will the Middle East erupt into a worldwide conflict? I don't know. Will the nuclear option become real? I don't know. Will political violence escalate? I don't know. Are we precariously standing on the edge of a precipice? Well, I don't know. What we don't know about the future of our lives scares us. That's why we have religion, horoscope, soothsayers, and scientists. We want to know, need to know, then we think we know from the answers we are given from religious texts, mystics, and prophets. We hold on to these beliefs so tightly that they become truths, unquestionable facts. It follows then that anything the least bit contrary to our truths must be false, must be wrong. It becomes our duty then to correct those wrongs. And if those believing such falsities become difficult, well, the ends justify the means when the truth is at stake. And we don't question our beliefs. We can't. What if we're wrong? When I was an orderly in 70s, very disorderly orderly, another orderly came onto my unit for a few days. Gee, there was a staffing shortage even then. Entering the nurse's station the first time, he made it plain he followed the teachings of Jesus. Correction. He said that it was not only Jesus, but he wanted to get into Marquette Medical School. That was with, he told us, like a B- average. After 3 nights on our ward, I heard a patient start hollering, literally hollering, and that was at 2 a.m. in the morning. I went in the room, politely dismissed the other orderly with, I'll talk to him. And after calming the patient, agreed with that patient that Jesus wasn't going to save him from his pain at the moment. And then I went to get the nurse to give him one of his pain meds. The nursing supervisor was in the certain nursing station when we finally got back. Apparently, there was a discussion that had been going on. And when we walked in, she said, or asked, "What happens if you're wrong?" Well, there was some little thought in his mind. And he said, "I'd kill myself." A deep silence followed that. We could hear the ticking of the clock. Suddenly, one of the patient's lights went on, and answering that, we went about our business. We never saw him again in our unit, but sometime later, we found out that he had been accepted at Marquette Medical School. Apparently, so many of the other students had placed at other schools, supposedly better schools, they thought that he was accepted, he was in line. We invest everything in our truths, even our lives. I'm a Unitarian Universalist. I'm also a Buddhist. I read my horoscope when I chance to see it. I'm a Pisces. I find them entertaining, though terribly fishy. I like to read the prophecies of Nostradamus and Baba Vanga, if you've ever heard of her. Maybe because they're so enigmatic and subject to multiple interpretations, and they entertain me. Scientists, they too prophesize the future, though their predictions are given as statistical probabilities and within certain parameters and based on real observations. Consider the fact that water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, that depends. It will boil at 102 degrees in Denver, Colorado, because of the lower air pressure and its higher elevation. I personally haven't boiled water in Denver. I've been there and I didn't boil water. And so I didn't prove it myself, but it's been verified by others that I know and trust that yes, it does boil at that temperature. I'll take the scientists above all the others. At least they have peer review. It's easy for me to accept scientific findings on the things I can outright experience or verify. But what about the things that even the scientists don't know? Like, how will the universe end? Several scientific theories have been proposed. The universe, it's called the Big Freeze or heat death. Why? The universe eventually reaches a state of maximum entropy change in which everything is evenly distributed and there are no energy gradients, which are needed to sustain information processing, one form of which is life. That was interesting to me. This scenario has gained ground as the most likely fate. So, the Big Rip. The current Hubble constant, and notice I say current, defines a rate of acceleration of the universe not large enough to destroy local structures like. So what will happen eventually is the universe will expand. The galaxies will come far apart, farther and farther, and things will start to disintegrate within them. Bodies will start to disintegrate, and all the little particles will be left. And that's it. The Big Crunch. Just as the theorized Big Bang started as a cosmological expansion, this theory assumes that the average density of the universe will be big enough to stop its expansion and the universe will begin contracting. So it'll start, and then eventually it starts coming back and it crunches itself back together to that singularity that we came from. The Big Bounce. The universe collapses back onto itself, creating another singularity, but in this instance, it says another Big Bang will occur. So it starts all over again. But I'm so confused about some of those things. I just don't know. I can't nobody can prove actually what really will happen or what happened. They trace it now. I've read on the radio. I heard on the radio that they've got it down to about a trillionth of a second since the Big Bang, which is a long time in little particle time. So at least they've gotten it down that far. But they could be wrong. I don't know. But even if I think about questions like that, these scenarios are outside of what I am here and now, of what we are and what we experience right now. A change of perspective. I'll call it the we perspective. We are social animals. There are 8.1 billion people living on the earth as of the middle of 2023, according to UN estimates. We've always tended to gather, socialize, identify within families, neighborhoods, villages, towns, cities, counties, states, countries, continents, each interacting with each other, affecting each other. What affects one within each of these gatherings affects all. A grandparent is ill. The neighborhood is changing. Crime has risen within the cities. The Brewers, the Packers. One political party wanting to change the basic structure of a state or country. Famine, pandemics, climate change, Ukraine, Israel, Hamas. In 2003, the New York Times reported of the past 3,400 years, humans have been entirely at peace for 268 of them, or just 8% of recorded history. Not a great track record. Pandemics, the larger a population becomes, the closer they gather together socially, the more the threat of pathogens. The Athenian plague of 430 BCE killed around 25% of the Athenians in Athens and around Athens. The Antonine plague, that was 165 to 180 Christian era, long time. They brought that back from their eastern conflicts in Iraq. That pandemic decimated 33% of the Roman Empire. The Black Death, as much as 60% of Europe's population died, and who knows how many elsewhere. 7 cholera outbreaks in the 1800s, the Spanish, Asian, and Hong Kong flus, HIV, AIDS, SARS, Ebola, and now COVID. Sure, okay, we have vaccines now, but with our increased social population density, climate change, hidden viruses from melting permafrost, viral mutations, resistance to masks and vaccines, stay tuned. With all of that hanging over our heads from out there, let's take another change of perspective. I'll call it the I perspective, a more personal view. What we do as individuals in our don't know boxes, what do we do in those boxes? Thanksgiving has come and gone. I hope it was a joyful occasion. Christmas is next on the horizon with all of its anticipated celebration and gifts. What can I get for that picky aunt? Ralph has everything. What am I going to buy him this time? When should I buy my ham? Will the grocers have what I need? How much will it cost? Pretty much like all Christmases past. Dang. There's that coughing spell again. Or my sense of smell isn't the same. It's just like when I had COVID last time. Different kind of Christmas, or the same as it always has been. I always remember thinking about the flu during this season. and we still have that. I'm up to date on all of my vaccines, but remember, I did remark I was up to date when I got it twice. Travel bills, bills in general, weather forecasts. So many I don't knows. What to do? I reminded of something Zen Master Songsan was fond of saying. Only go straight is your true job. Only go straight. Don't know. Zen Master Songsan officially established his Korean Zen school in 1983. My first precepts were taken with the Kwanam School of Zen on, let's see, what did I do? October 11th, 1998. It's a while ago. After several 4-day silent retreats. While no longer affiliated with the school, the Sangha near me moved, and I still keep in touch. They've been in a transition mode since the founder's death. The school I was inducted in as a minister, Bright Dawn Center of Oneness Buddhism, is also transitioning since the death of its founder, the Reverend Koyo Kubose, in 2022. What will develop, if indeed they survive, I don't know. Traditional churches are in transition, their membership plummeting as they seem to be entrenching themselves in a more conservative direction. Despite the Pope, I think, recently moving a little more to the left as I'm going right. What will develop from all these entrenchments? I don't know. Our own Unitarian Universalist tradition, I submit, is in a period of transition, reaching out, broadening, integrating, trying different cultures, new modes of thought, and practices. Our own service changed drastically from what it had been from all the years we've had it at our church. Not so new a thing for us as you use, but still a transitioning. What will become of us in this newest transition? I don't know. Everything is in transition, and it always has been. The 5 remembrances of Buddhism come to mind. I am of a nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature to change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My actions are my only true belongings. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. My actions are the ground upon which I stand. Life itself is a transition from birth to adolescence, teenage, adulthood, old age, and death. And then what? We die. And then what? I don't know. I haven't died yet. See, most people would just walk away. There's the answer in this book. And they believe that, like I said, they'll believe it to their dying day. But what happens afterwards? I don't know. Nobody knows. We haven't died yet. It's an old Zen answer. I don't know, but I'm okay with that. But what is my don't know? It's not some wishy-washy, non-committal apathy, nor is it a complete failure to come to any kind of conclusion or commitment. Cogito ergo sum, said Rene Descartes. And I sure do a lot of that. Remember that we're information processors. No, my don't know is an openness to all possibilities, all possibilities, to take them in together and reach my own conclusions. But they're subject to change. Yet we want to be like yesterday. We want the sameness, the comfort of our childhood, unchangeable routines. We want straight lines, sameness. I observe that life moves here and there, up and down, left and right, rarely straightforward. And I accept that. So I look both ways before crossing the street. I check the water before I step in the shower because I don't know. I remember taking calculus in college, required for one of my majors. 3 semesters of formulas, graphs, and vectors. If I learned nothing else, it was that outcomes deviated with the smallest of variables. Life is like that. Everything is like that. What variable awaits us tomorrow? What variable will affect the path of our lives tomorrow? It only takes the smallest thing, the smallest gesture. I will not submit to any religion just to ease my fear of the unknown. I will not fall under the fallacy that I am superior to anyone. I will not denigrate any religion. I will also listen to anyone willing to talk. I will also accept that I make mistakes, that I am not perfect, not infallible. As age grows over my body, I'm reminded of the remark that wisdom comes with age. My observation is more like Oscar Wilde when he said, "With age comes wisdom, but sometimes age comes alone." I've remarked here before in my sermon, Did I Get Old Yet? That was back in 2019, that my age-gained wisdom is spelled WIZDUMB. A step further than Mr. Wilde, but truer to me personally. When I read a book, fiction or nonfiction, I want to learn something, take away something that I can use, even if it only entertains me. For me, there is always something to learn, no matter how small. People are like that too, always something to learn, always something they can give us. I don't know, so many things. I'm not asking that everyone be like me. One enough of me is enough in the world of me, I'm sure. Or that we are all dumb, or that we must become dumb. I am asking that we accept that we really don't know a lot about life, that it is continually changing. I ask that we listen to the changes, uncomfortable though they may be. In one of my musings, those COVID writings I mentioned before, I related a conversation with a gentleman at a grocer's in a more or less liberal suburb. It was at the height of the COVID crisis, mask mandate and all. He was wearing a mask on his chin. This whole COVID thing is just all about government control, he calmly said as he approached me. How so? I asked. He answered. I replied. It went back and forth like that for some time, and I noticed the customers around us were all stopping and listening. What about the deaths, the hospitalizations? All fake news, he answered. Have you had your flu shot? Nah, nothing bad about getting the flu. He kept getting louder and louder as we talked. I was getting impatient. Finally, I just told him to just shut up. In my frustration, I lost it and walked away, noticing all the thumbs up and the clapping that I got as I left the scene. Not one of my best moments, despite all the good gestures. How could I have ended that interaction differently? Surely just cutting him off and walking away solved nothing. Perhaps a gentler, "have a good day and take care" kind of response would have been better. I let my impatience get the better of me, my frustration. I'm not a perfect person. I should have cared enough in that moment to listen. I also mentioned in one of those musings about a conversation I had on the bus about the flu shots. There was a conversation that was getting pretty boisterous, and the few other passengers that were on the bus weren't listening, or at least they were trying not to, despite their mounting looks of irritation. It was two women. The two women looked over to me, obviously frustrated with each other. "Have you had your flu shot?" the younger one asked me. "Sure." They were arguing about flu shots. I said, "Sure, I don't like taking pills or getting shots, but it didn't hurt. And besides, even though I could still get the flu, it won't be near as bad as if I didn't get the shot. And no, it won't give you the flu. It lessens the chance severity of it." The older woman turned to me, remarking, "Oh, well, that's different. I've gotten the flu before, and I sure don't want to go through that again." The younger woman smiled at me as the other apologized to her. Trivial point gained for me, but I'll take it. I don't know. Sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. At the head of my printed sermon, I have a Charlie Brown cartoon. It helps me focus when I'm writing my sermons. Snoopy and Charlie are sitting at the end of a dock facing away from the reader. "Someday we will all die, Snoopy," ponders Charlie Brown. Snoopy replies, "True, but on all the other days we will not." Just as I haven't mentioned all the don't knows of how the universe came to be, I didn't go into all the don't knows about how we came to be. The universe is here. We are here. The days we have in our lives, those other days when we do not die, are our opportunities. It's our job, this life, as Song San would say. These interactions, though we never applied for this life, it's all about to get what it's all about. If we think deeply enough, care enough, maybe we'll get it. Maybe things will turn out better. But thinking deeply, caring, this don't know, a mind open to the possibilities, taking them all in, caring deeply, it's not about words. It's feeling, action, interaction, listening, doing. What happens now? I don't know. Just look both ways before crossing the street. And as Koyo Sensei always said at the end of our conversations, keep going. Arigato gozaimasu. Gracias. Jankuya. You are invited to stand in body or spirit as we sing hymn number 345. With joy we claim the crowning light.
And then we'll play it through once before we start.
Our closing words are from We Don't Know What Will Happen Next by Jerome Roos, the New York Times, April 2023. There are tranquil times which seem to contain that which will last forever, the philosopher Karl Jaspers once wrote, and there are ages of change which are upheavals in extreme instances, appearing to go to the roots of humanity itself. Ours is clearly an age of upheaval. As war rages in Europe and the world counts the cost of the deadliest pandemic in living history, an ominous mood reigns over the earth. After years of economic turmoil, social unrest, and political instability, there is a widespread sense that the world has been cast adrift like a rudderless ship in a terrible storm.
Thank you, Andrew, for sharing your message with us today. Thank you, Carol, for your thoughtful music. And just a reminder that everyone is welcome to join us in the fellowship room and then return back here after about 15 minutes, listen for the chimes for our talk back session with Andy. I will extinguish our chalice.